I say is what inspired me is science fiction. See, technology supports innovation. Innovation is its own thing. Technology is there, in my opinion, to facilitate innovation. We are not encouraged to do trial and error,
True.
mistakes, learn from the mistakes. And if you
Hmm.
take your counterparts in other countries, they are very much trial and error based. And because from the day it was published, we call it a gazette, to the day it is now going to be passed in parliament, the time period is 5 months. It's destroyed. Can you imagine two atomic bombs being dropped on that country? It's destroyed. 20 years later, they are not the number one manufacturing country in the world. So it takes.
Hello everyone. Hello everyone. We are back to another episode of Tech Talk 360 Unwilly One Bite at a Time. Today we have one of my favorite and someone I respect the most and I love the most. Sir Asela Waidyalankara. Hi sir, how are you doing today?
How are you, Rasal?
Doing great.
Fantastic to be here, and congratulations on your content creation journey. Love it.
Thank you so much. So a small intro about Asela Waidyalankara. He is a cybersecurity educator and also as I just step into as his LinkedIn say a technocrat and someone who loves uh, the passion for technology, and also what he mentioned was he loves educating the youth, right, Mr. Asela?
Love it.
So let's start on. So first thing I want to ask, who is Asela Waidyalankara?
Very interesting question. I don't get asked that a lot. So, who is Asela Waidyalankar? Asela Waidyalankar is a person who's been in the ICT industry for the last, I would say, 15 years or so. Been very passionate about technology, bringing technology to people, helping companies use technology to become better, more efficient, helping the youth of the country understand their potential in the field of technology, and educating them about technology. So, if I were to say who is Asela Waidyalankara, those are the few things I would like to say.
Some inspirational words out there.
Thank you.
Let's take a small let's take a small step back to how you started everything, maybe how you started this journey in the tech world and how it has been until now. Probably it's like a long journey throughout. Let's just take it
That's a
small
very
and
nice way of
proceed.
calling me old, but thank you. I'll take that. How I started? Thank you. These are very searching questions. I enjoy them. Thank you, Rasa. Okay. Perhaps my first thing when I talk to youth, I say is what inspired me is science fiction. I started off reading a lot of science fiction, and really that part of it really got me hooked. And of course, don't forget the Star Wars, the Star Treks. You're watching them at a very young age, really inspires a kid to think of technology in a very different way. Also, I recall very fond few memories. One is it was actually one of our neighbors at the time. He was very much senior to me. This Aya had a Commodore 64. Now, I don't expect you, Rasal, to know what a Commodore 64 is. It's a very old computer. You can Google it after you're done with this. He had a Commodore 64. So I saw this and we played Pong, if you
Oh
can
my god.
imagine. And it was just two lines. It was a thing going up and down. If you look at it now, it just completely looks ancient. But at the time, it really inspired me. The second inspiration came perhaps again long time ago in the early 90s. I visited Infotel, and at the Infotel exhibition, and that gives you an idea how old Infotel is. At the Infotel exhibition, there was a computer that was connected to the internet. I know it's not a big deal today,
Yeah, yeah.
but
Back then
back
it
then
was.
when I saw this, it was like a light bulb went off. Like, wow, this is the future. And from there, I think went to Tech Sri Lanka at one point. To do study coding. GW Basic again. I don't think You probably even never heard of this. It was a programming language, very old programming language. So I did that, and eventually, of course, went to Apit. As you know, you and I share the same college. We went to Apit. We did management and IT there. But I think the real exposure came when I joined my first job, Dialog Axiata. Dialog Axiata was it wasn't called Axiata at the time, but it's called Dialog Telecom. But it exposed me to a lot of new technologies, especially in the telecom area, telecommunication field, ICT field. That really changed the game for me. And I think my journey in tech, if I were to take three stories, I would say
Those
those are
three
the
sums up
three
everything.
sums up everything that I've achieved so
I
far
mean,
or
the
inspired me
first
so
three
far.
companies you told, I have never. This is this is first.
Take the time after this interview, figure first, see what a Commodore 64 is. You'll see how ancient I am. GW Basic is probably the grandfather of all these new programming languages, and Infotel, I think, probably would come as a surprise that
Yeah.
it's old.
All right, then now let's directly go into one of my favorite questions out of this. So,
Sure.
how does youth, let's target it on youth,
Mm.
find this relationship between technology and innovation? How they can use both of these, how to to inspire them and how to grow them using this creativity, technology, innovation. I mean, all these three elements currently with the new tech that they have, with all the facilities that everyone has, they can do something amazing for the society. Let's just give them some hint on how we can do this. I mean, for me as well.
So I'll tell you what. I need to go into a little bit of lecture mode here, but see, technology supports innovation. Innovation is its own thing. Technology is there, in my opinion, to facilitate innovation. That's always been the case. Innovation is creativity, innovation is out of the box thinking, innovation is making something new out of what is already there. But technology really helps that. And what perhaps I think, and this is maybe where I would say the education system sometimes of this country falls a little short, is in order to get innovation, there's three things you need to have. That's learning, experimentation, and collaboration. Now, learning, experimentation, collaboration are three things that are not really fostered well in our education system. Now, let's take learning. First of all, learning, we unfortunately, our education system is more memorizing than learning. We never learn things, we never discover things, and actually when you discover things, that actually builds your creativity, and that's something that we should focus on, especially when it comes to the youth in this country. Because Rasal, unfortunately, I see the other point. We see a lot of young people coming in to corporates, to companies, and we as organizations have to spend a lot of time and effort to make sure that that gap that education system has created is filled up. So that's why we always try to work with the youth and make sure we close that gap. As a country also, we need to do that, because one thing I've seen in the other countries, when I work with different countries' youth, is they are more interested in learning new things, discovering new
They are
things.
also, what I noticed is they are also like 5 to 10 steps ahead of us. There is a
Yeah, okay, and that I'll come to, because the second part, experimentation. Now, in school, I'm sure we were never encouraged. I was never encouraged to experiment. I'm sure it's the same story for you. We are not encouraged to do trial and error,
true.
mistakes, learn from the mistakes. And if you
Hmm.
take your counterparts in other countries, they are very much trial and error based. And when you have trial and error, when you have experimentation culture, you build creativity. So when it comes to, unfortunately, Sri Lanka, we have a youth, and we see this even in corporates, very scared to take a
Yeah,
risk, very risk averse.
true.
No, don't want to take a chance, want to play it safe.
Hmm.
Actually, I think most of the time that is what keeps us back. because we don't have this entrepreneurial mindset. We don't have, let's take a risk, let's experiment and see. And if you take any company in Silicon Valley, I urge you to read about some of these companies. Instagram, how it was created, there's a book on it. You see these guys made a lot of mistakes. You see guys like Elon Musk, look at his story, the start of his life, how many mistakes he made, how much of his companies tanked. Anyone, Jeff Bezos, all of these guys, they've done a lot of mistakes, but that experimentation led them to success and innovation, like you very correctly said. Third and finally, collaboration. That's again something we don't teach our kids well. I wish we did. Collaboration comes with other things. For example, if you're in extracurricular activities, if you're in Interact Club, actually that builds more collaboration. And this is why, for example, we go to schools and we try to teach people the importance of collaboration, working with each other. Because to be frank, Rasal, our education system is more prone, the output is a very individualistic output. It's a doctor, it's a lawyer, it's an engineer.
The basic general names we hear.
General thing, and it's for you, no? You're not going to work with somebody, you're not going to build the community, you are not going to manage people, build something together with people. That aspect is not there. So I think if we are to actually have an innovation culture, and it's a cultural thing, because it starts at home, it starts at school. Unfortunately, in both environments, we are not doing a great job. So this is why I take a lot of my time. I talk to the youth, we inspire youth, and we tell them that these three things actually are the secret of your success, even for this country. I mean, if you take the way some of our even business leaders think sometimes, you will see the learning, experimentation and collaboration aspects are not there. So we need to build that, and I hope I did justice to your question by giving my little thoughts on it.
Yes, exactly. I mean, that what the points that you mentioned, I think maybe if you take like in numbers, 75 to 60%, I think they lack. And then if we get that 40% filled, I think as a country also we can grow. And
I don't think we are lack of talent. Honestly,
exactly.
we don't. We have enough and more talent. And people sometimes disagree with me, but I said, no, we have talent. The fact that, still people are migrating and still we are able to, fill those positions with equally talented people tells me we have talent. It's just our mindset and this innovation aspect that we are lacking.
It's like closed and they are very scared to take.
It's a closed mind, and that's unfortunately why when we run companies, we have to do that part as well. And ideally, that's something that, in other countries, the education system, vocational training, all these other extracurricular activities, the teachers, all these people build well. So one thing, so they're better prepared.
Yeah, well. So we mentioned about the country in the earlier question. We mentioned about Sri Lanka and the youth. So this is one trendy topic that was there for the past 2 weeks maybe. It's actually about the online safety bill. So just I read it here and there. I just read it online and the articles that are there on it. So I personally, I don't know what is wrong, and probably I know I just have the basic understanding of what goes there on the news, but news is also, we can't trust these stuff. So when we link it to the questions that we connected earlier, so we tell that we are trying to inspire the youth, we tell them to take the risk, but on the other hand, the country is trying to frame them up, lock them up, set that boundary and not let them take the risk. Is it actually for the benefit of the youth, for the benefit of the people, or the benefit of the country and the government? And has this happened? They are trying to mess with Meta, Google. I think they are trying to mess with this. Do they actually know about this? Are they? I don't think they can either mess, because I don't know how that works. But I don't know. I just want to hear your opinion on it, and I think you also have been working on the the laws as well, I think. So the best person to ask is right here.
Oh, okay, a lot to unpack there. The bill is called Online Safety Bill. Uh, if anyone looks at it, there's nothing wrong, because actually, I lecture on online safety, and I do workshops and all that. So yes, if you're actually trying to focus on online safety, there is a concern there. Especially women, children are disproportionately impacted in this country when it comes to what we call online bullying, harassment, online violence, all of that. And we have seen the response from law enforcement, and there was a UNICEF study done some time back, said, for example, only 3% of the women who have ever faced harassment ever put a complaint. So whatever the figures we have are only 3% the women. Most of the time when I, and I do a lot of help through various NGOs trying to help these ladies who have gone through hell sometimes. And most of them say, listen, I don't want to go through this. I don't want to relive my trauma again by trying to tell them what happened. So there is a problem there. However, you have this law, piece of paper. By the looks of it, it's created for a different purpose, to maybe stifle innovation by the looks of it. Stifle innovation, stifles free speech, because actually innovation comes with free speech, free ideas, free thinking, since we spoke about it. So there are certain clauses, I don't want to get into a long discussion on this, but there are certain clauses, and the way this entire law is built, and there's a commission being made on top of it. So we feel there are, from a legal point of view, there are some gaps. Secondly, and more importantly, it identifies certain responsibilities, and the law can, this commission can issue directives to what they call internet intermediaries.
All that falls under
everything. As far as they have not said no. And when it comes to a law, when you don't say no, it's a bit concerning. And also, very interestingly, there's an organization called the Asian Internet Coalition that's made up of Meta, made up of X, made up of Viber, all of these big tech companies. And they talk about things that are happening in Asia. So they have actually written to the minister concerned and the other policymakers, saying, they, on principle, say that this is an unworkable law. Their words, not mine. So when the top people of the world are saying, the top tech company, because end of the day, it's their platform. These are not registered companies in Sri Lanka. All of these are in different countries. So when they say this is unworkable, when they say, we need more time to consult, we need more time to discuss this, we need more time to fine tune it, what's the rush? So that's my concern, because from the day it was published, we call it a gazette, to the day it is now going to be passed in Parliament, the time period is 5 months. So usually, now I'll give you another example. In the UK, they took about 3 years to discuss this online safety law and finally pass it. So you can see a lot of back and forth consultation. We are also not strangers to it. In Sri Lanka, I was involved in that process. The Personal Data Protection Act, it's going to get active next year. That's a good piece of legislation. We shouldn't criticize also. That's a very good piece of legislation. That also, the consultation took more than 3 years. That also, Meta, Google, all these top tech companies, they gave their thoughts. They had a back and forth. Finally, they agreed to it. And you don't see them making a fuss about it. Because why? They were consulted, their ideas were taken in, collaboration. That aspect I spoke about. There's a lot of people running YouTube channels in different form of content they make. And maybe could be targeting content creators that may be saying things, unpleasant things, know what I mean. So perhaps they will be targeted by this. So that is the concern that we have in a nutshell. There's a long discussion about this.
Just a
But
small follow-up question. Is that same thing there in the UK as well, or it's not there?
no, actually,
I mean,
UK
if
also
you are aware of it,
went,
if you are aware
went
of the law.
yeah, there is an online safety act in the UK, but that took a long time to consult and to come to some sort of compromise. There also now that's also not a perfect law. For example,
Oh, okay.
Signal, if you know the company Signal, at one point threatened to leave the UK because of this their online safety bill, and said, we don't agree with some of the things they're asking to weaken our encryption. She said, we are not going to weaken our encryption for anyone. That's the commitment they have. So you have to understand, these companies are sometimes bigger than government. So we can't just tell them, to do these things, because they are trillion-dollar companies sometimes, billion-dollar or trillion-dollar companies. So this is what we have to be careful in the way we deal with them, and we have to think of our negotiating power also. End of the day, so I think that's also something we need to look at. And don't forget, there's a digital economy built on these platforms. Now you have a content on YouTube. Some people have content on TikTok, Instagram. There's content creators. There's people who are earning a living out of these things. Don't forget, there are small, medium enterprises. They are selling cupcakes. They are selling small items on Facebook, on Instagram. Imagine the impact to these small companies, small organizations, content creators like yourself, if these big tech companies decide, this law is unworkable, the government is not listening to us, and
They are leaving.
let's leave. So we don't want that. I don't think anyone wants that. Even I don't want to endorse that. But we have to make sure we have some sort of collaborative approach when we are making such laws and legislation. So I hope I gave you a little bit more, but I urge you, all of you, especially the youth, to read up on it. There's a lot of material out there, because it concerns you the most, because you're the ones who are using online and digital platforms the most.
One last thing on that, are we coming to a state where they're going to leave, or is it just they don't even know about our law?
No, they know. So like I said, the Asian Internet Coalition has released a statement, several states, and they have given what we call amendments. They have said this is how the law should change from our point of view.
Right. So we have ignored it.
For the fact that these guys have written and still we have sort of ignored them, not ignored, but not fully engaged with them, is a concern. So they have said they may consider, I want to stress that may. I don't think, again, we shouldn't let that happen, but it's a real possibility if it gets unworkable for them. So we must also be concerned and careful when we are bringing such legislation, especially when we are trying to recover from an economic crisis also. And it sends a negative signal, because we want to attract people to come to Sri Lanka. We give a negative signal also when we try to do these things.
That is just, I personally wanted to add this topic to our conversation, because actually I also didn't know, but many people, they just ignore it, and whatever happens there in it, and when it goes off, they itself don't know what actually happened.
So you're right, and a lot of people, when you hear it, they think it's for a good thing, and it is. On the surface, it looks good.
Outside, outside it's thing really important these days, clicking links and the money going out, and also this cyberbullying and online harassments. I'll just add on something that I personally get in, like there's like so many people, elderly people and youth, since I'm in the cybersecurity field, trying to reach me for help. Either their accounts are hacked, or their images are leaked, messages are leaked. What step do they take? I'll just be straight. The steps they take is called the the intelligence unit in Sri Lanka, the police department. Is it called the cyber division? Cyber crimes. They call their no response. Either they ignore, or they'll just say okay body case, or they leave it. Probably it's something small for them, but the person who faced it, it's not. And the second thing is they try to appeal to Facebook, and that also sometimes I don't think it goes right. And the third thing they try to do is, reach someone who actually knows them and, seek for support. But from there itself, I mean, what I also can do is limited, So I just try to reach out the people I know and then try to solve. So probably I might have got around 20 cases from just the surrounding people I know, and then it's just growing. It doesn't stop. I'm pretty sure in Sri Lanka it will grow this year rather than the last.
You're right.
So yeah. So personally, I also want to do something about it. Maybe I'll just come towards when you just give me the advice on it. And then, what do you actually think? I mean, we cannot. We can change the people, but how we can stay away from it? Cyberbullying, harassments, and fraud scams. How we can stay away from it, and overall, what do you think about this?
Love to unpack.
A deep question again.
A deep question again. Thank you. Two things. First of all, scams. Let me tackle scams first. Scams, phishing links. As you know, in cybersecurity, it's very difficult to, show them something and say, okay, don't click on this, because it keeps evolving. So, for example, now with ChatGPT, it's gotten even better. Those days we used to tell, look for spelling mistakes or grammar mistakes in emails or things. Now, the it's not cybercrime is not static, Prasad. It's also evolving. It's also humans behind it. So they also consider it like an enterprise. They run it like a business. So they're also trying to continuously improve. So now, these days, we are seeing very good, language as so much. You can have an endpoint protection, that means an antivirus, a phishing guard or whatever. You can have those. The technologies are there. I don't need to tell you. You know better than me. But if it comes to the person, to be, so that is a deeper thing. You have to, first of all, value your data. You have to understand your data is valuable. And a lot of the time, people in this country would have seen, if a stranger comes and asks for your phone number, we give it. We don't even ask, why are you collecting my phone number? But you talk to a foreigner, they are not going to give their personal data just like that. They'll ask you, who are you? What purpose are you asking for? Who is going to store this number? Who is going to be calling? They'll have a lot of questions. That's why they value their personal data. So I think the first thing we have to do, and this is why I teach kids, we have to teach people to be responsible with their data, with their information, the personal information. You have seen enough and more people put their birthdays, their personal information on their social media. That's where the problem starts, not clicking on something. So that's why I want to take a little step back. That's where the problem starts. You don't value your own data. Because you don't value your own data, anything that comes to you, you think if there's a prize or a gift or whatever, you just immediately give away your personal data. That's where you get into trouble. So first, there's a concept called digital citizenship. When you're in the digital space, you're a citizen, just like you're a citizen in a country. Now, to be a citizen in a country, there are some benefits for you, but there are some responsibilities also for you, right? So same way when you are
just like the avatar in the metaverse,
Yes. And let's say you're in this country, now you can vote. That's a big responsibility for the citizen. They have to vote. If they don't vote, maybe people they don't like will come to power. Then you can't complain because you didn't vote in the process. So same way, you have a responsibility also to be cautious of your data and all that. So all this comes from awareness. And that's why I say, especially when it comes to the youth, what we have done is the youth have been given access, that's the bad thing. Huh? You have access to high-speed internet. More than access, you grew up with high-speed internet. Now, you would have heard my story. I didn't see internet till I was maybe a teenager. So I was 16, 17 only, I saw internet. From the day you see now, kids with the soother in their mouth, they're on the iPad. So that is the difference. Now we have given the keys to drive the car, but no one has told what the road rules are. What do you wear? Need to wear a seat belt. That is the issue.
Yeah.
So we have given access to everyone, but we have not taught them the right way, the wrong way, what to share, what not to share, what to click, what not to click, and we are seeing the impact of that, first of all. So even this intimate image sharing, I have spent a lot of time in girls' schools, and I have, just like you, I get hundreds and hundreds of calls a month from
If I get
ladies.
20, you are like close to 1 lakh.
I get inundated with these calls, and I try to help each and everyone. And it takes a lot of time from my day, but I take that effort because I want to help.
Yeah.
And I work with a very good NGO. It's called Women in Need. So actually, everyone comes to you. Even please direct them to Women in Need, because they have lawyers, they have counselors, and they get, as an intermediary, they will act between the police and the victim.
Oh.
So I think that's a good thing. Problem happens. Police
Yeah.
But then when these guys call, these are lawyers call, so they have to respond. You understand? In that way,
true.
we need to build that awareness. For boys, now I go to boys' schools. I tell them, when you receive such an image, if you have a sister, mother, will you like that to be there? That's the first question I ask. You won't like your mother, you won't like your sister, and if you're a little older, you won't like your wife to be there. Then why would you share somebody else's images that you know very well is a personal image? But you take that time and you share it. And because the way messaging platforms are structured, WhatsApp or whatever, they're encrypted. We can't traceability of the message. You can't do unless you tell those people to weaken the encryption. Then you open up to other issues. So we have to build this culture where, first of all, the boys say, no, if I get it, it has to start with you, Rasa. Or you telling you and your friends, you get something like this, and we see this, link it and all. You have to stop that. If you stop it, then the spreading will stop.
Yeah.
Then the second one, you need to tell especially the ladies, your choice, personal choice, we can't argue. But when you're sharing intimate images, also know that you have rights, and people just can't share. There's actually not this online safety law, but it's a criminal act. You can go to jail. Very recently also, I think 3 A-level students were arrested by police and sent to jail because they circulated intimate images of a girl, or threatened to circulate intimate images, and it was a tuition class related thing. So people don't know this. First of all, you must know it's a crime. That if you even circulate this, it's a crime. If you threaten someone with these, some people blackmail. It's called sextortion. They blackmail with these images. You shouldn't do that, and that is a crime. And that's what we tell the ladies, the victim side. This is a crime. You're not the victim. You're not at fault. It's not your fault. It's the perpetrator's fault. So you go to the police or you seek help from these organizations. They are willing to help, and there are enough and more people to help. So I think that is the message you have to do. All this has to come from school days. This is why I always say this cyber awareness has to be a subject in school. Not just something we go. Now my hairs have got grey, but I have lost the amount of track of times I have gone to schools and spoken about online safety. And I will continue to do it till the day I can. Even on a walk, I will go and tell people about online safety. But the point is, this should be a subject in school. This should be taught, just like we are teaching, wash our hands, brush our teeth. This should be part like that. We encourage and educate people from school days. If you don't do that, no one told you, you have to brush your teeth, wash yourself. It's now from baby days, that. No, Rasad. So that, if you teach these things from baby days to people, you won't have these problems. Actually, very less. There will be people, but very less. So long answer. So I hope it's.
We can add to that how much technology we have to use our brain at the end.
See, technology is always the tool. Tomorrow there could be the metaverse. Day after tomorrow there could be a projection thing where everyone is projecting themselves to some. We don't know the technology. You will wear a headset and you will be somewhere else. We can't prepare you for everything, but we can tell you, for example, telling your personal data to an unknown person online is a no. And if that
Yeah.
is the benchmark, doesn't matter what technology you use, maybe you're on a gaming platform, maybe on a social media platform, you won't do it. Right? That if you
Yeah.
know that, just like brushing your teeth.
Something really long, what we had discussion was a long topic, but really important for the present, future, everything.
Thank you.
With that, we can come to a like something which drives the youth, something, an advice that you can give on how to perceive this career in technology. For example, if someone wants to be someone like you, me, cybersecurity, someone loves technology. Maybe there are people who doesn't know where to start. Maybe like you mentioned, we can link it to the first question that we mentioned. Everyone is trying to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, but they don't know the niche markets that there and how much these these industries, they have big budgets, overloading salaries, crazy amounts of dollars spent on this. Maybe we can just highlight on that with your experience and learnings, how you can take those small steps and go to a big, something really big in the future.
I think more than when I was a youth, it's more easier for you guys because there's so many options. When we were young, doctor, lawyer, accountant, engineer were the preferred professions. Even today, for a long time, my parents had a very hard time figuring out what I used to do. they still don't. So don't worry. Even at this age, my parents, only thing I think my parents now figure out this word cybersecurity. That's all they know. So what is your son doing? Cybersecurity. That's all they say.
I also can link to that, but I just have explained.
So this is why, again, this is what inspired me to actually talk to people about cybersecurity also. But now for you guys, there's so much resources out there to learn. So actually there's a passion. For example, the job of the future is not here today. Let me be very clear on that. When I was doing my degree at Ep.2, cybersecurity was not a word. Do you understand? It was only technology, IT was the word. Very much later, some of these things were self-taught. Because, there was no... Now there's degrees on cybersecurity. When we were there was no degree on cybersecurity. Also, the diversification is there. There's a lot of things like that. So you can look for those opportunities and you can know what you like. And you can research few things online. There's enough and more resources, videos, YouTube, so many things. Secondly, again, something we didn't have in our youth, you have mentors. So now you can connect with people like us. You can connect with anyone in the world to get some advice in that area. And people actually, at that level, they're very happy to give advice. They're very happy to take the time off and talk to people and to inspire them. So I think take that opportunity. And always remember, the job you will do has not been created yet. I have enough and more experience, Rasal, in that. When I started at Dialog Asiata, I became a business analyst. That job didn't exist when I started 10 years ago. The role of a business analyst. Now it's very well known. Those days it was not. Cybersecurity, this threat analyst, all these jobs are new jobs created in the last 10 years. So can you imagine then, in another 10 years, what the jobs will be? We don't know. AI, human interface engineer, we don't know. Prompt engineer, we don't know. Could be, and a metaverse exploration expert, we don't know. So how are we to learn these things? We learn with new things. So that's my inspiration to everyone. Always, whatever you learn, use it as a tool to create something new, and be curious. That's the best thing you can do. Always be curious. You see all the brilliant people in the world, from people like Bill Gates to Elon Musk to Jeff Bezos, to all these top guys. They're really, really curious. They're like children. They'll always ask questions. They'll always try to understand something. It's amazing. One of my favorite people is Richard Branson as an entrepreneur.
Oh, yeah.
He's a fantastic guy. And he just does things because he asks a lot of questions, and he does a lot of things just by being curious. So I think curiosity as a character trait will take you a long way. And be lifelong learner. Now, I don't think for a moment that I know everything about cybersecurity. I don't. I never admit to that, which is why when people call me expert on cybersecurity, I get a little worried because no one can know everything about the cybersecurity. That's not correct. And you, as studying the subject, probably understand where I'm coming from. So, be a lifelong learner. I read, I would say, at least 30, 40 books a year, at least. I learn something new every day. I read every day because I'm passionate about what I do, and I'm curious and I want to learn. And I think that goes a long way, especially for the youth. Put in that work, and that will take you a long way. And whatever you're passionate about, it could be, it could be as simple as content creation. Learn how to be a better content creator. So that's what I'm telling guys like you, everyone listening in. Passionate, be curious, and learn every day.
Much inspirational talk. And we are going out of time also. So one thing last. Final thing for Sri Lanka as a country. Are we heading towards the right direction, and where are we holding back? We'll keep all the other, the economic crisis and all the talks aside. And the future, how is the future for the youth and the society? So one thing, this is actually a general thing I asked in the earlier podcast also. Most of my friends have gone abroad, and there are some who are planning to go abroad. Skill migration, again, I think that's the word for that. So maybe, like you mentioned, we have the talent, but there are people planning to go and they are gone on. And when I mentioned about the youth, what is that thing that we can retain these people? Regard all the other stuff aside, we have to there are maybe people have the personal goals and stuff outside Sri Lanka, but there is something in this country we are trying to have.
That's a question very close to my heart because I also have a daughter your age, and this is a question I struggle with because I want her to stay. I would like her to stay, but I don't want to stop her from going, and that's her decision. I remain optimistic simply because in the 90s, the early 2000s, there were people who believed in Sri Lanka, stayed back, or went abroad, got some skills and talent, got a bit of capital, came back to Sri Lanka.
Okay.
And that's the story of Virtusa. That's the story of WSO2. That's the story of all these big tech companies that I hear in Sri Lanka. Virtusa is a Fortune 500 company, Rasa. Can you imagine? They're listed in the New York Stock Exchange. Sri Lankan company. So don't for a moment think there is hopelessness. It's just we don't tell these stories enough. And right now, it's more attractive to talk about leaving. There may be so many conditions, people have challenges. I'm not going to deny. I'm not going to sit here and deny that. There are a lot of challenges. Even professionals, they're leaving. But some of us are choosing to stay. Some of us are choosing to believe in Sri Lanka, and some of us are trying to do the hard work so that you guys will have a better future. So we are here. We believe. We are staying. So if you want to go outside, please do get that exposure, get that talent, but come back. And for those who are staying or choosing to stay, there's hope. Don't ever think there's hope, because a lot of time when I talk to youngsters, they don't have very good impression of this country. But that is just one part. That is just one section. Globally, people have come and invested in it. They're here. They are not going anywhere. They're here. You speak to Sanjeev from WSO. He's not going anywhere. He's here. And the engineers are looked after, paid fantastic amount of money. And there is success stories like that. Enough and so if those people who have more opportunities are choosing to stay, maybe there's something here for all of you. So keep that in mind when you are taking a decision. I don't want to paint a picture where Sri Lanka is, the best. Sri Lanka is a fantastic country. Everyone who comes here, it's not an accident that anyone who comes here says this is a fantastic country. You would have seen very recently also, the Indian foreign minister has said it's fantastic
Yeah.
country.
And yesterday or day before, we got featured in National Geographic magazine and
everywhere in the world, every foreigner you meet, they say you have a fantastic country. You have fantastic. So we are fantastic country, fantastic people. Don't forget that. Only thing we have to now get together. We probably have to do it ourselves, pick up ourselves and do it. So I don't think we should wait for a savior or someone to do it for us. We should do it. The tech community is doing it. We are doing our part. I'm doing my part.
I mean, I also can put into that. I also was planning to migrate. I said no, and I started the degree here in Ep.2 to do my bachelor's. And
Thank
maybe
you.
I might change plans in not going and starting up something here as well. Same thing what you meant, optimistic.
Be optimistic. Believe in Sri Lanka, because people had believed and therefore they made it success. So my counter argument is that doesn't mean everything sucks here, to use
True.
what everyone else says. And a lot of people think that. So that's my counter argument.
Why leave
Why
when
leave?
we have this?
Because listen, whatever is now is temporary. Countries go through ups
Yeah.
and downs. And I was invited to Colombo University. They asked the same question. And I said, listen, if the Japanese after Hiroshima and Nagasaki said, this country is gone, it's destroyed. It's destroyed. Can you imagine 2 atomic bombs being dropped on that country? It's destroyed. 20 years later, they are not the number one manufacturing country in the world. So it takes the people, not the infrastructure. So if those people can look at that and say, you know what, we're going to come back up. I think at the depths of despair in this country, which is not bad as that, we can.
After watching this episode, Asela, I think there will be many people who are inspired by you and who wants to connect with you. Let's just give a small reminder on how they can reach you out on LinkedIn and any other platform that is open to you for asking anything related to cybersecurity, technological. It's just dropping that as well.
I am most active on, it's called X now. It's called Twitter.
Yeah.
So I'm active there. I say a lot of things about cybersecurity on X. Also, I'm very active on LinkedIn. So those are the 2 platforms. You can reach me anytime. More than happy to help a student. More than happy to give advice. More than happy to mentor. I've helped so many people with fine-tuning their CVs sometimes. If there's an opportunity somewhere, I'll make sure they know about it. I've done anything that you want and anything that is kept in my capacity, I will help. So please reach out.
Thank you very much, Asela, for joining in with me today. And the viewers I think it was a brilliant episode today. I really loved watching and, getting your thoughts on how technology works and how cybersecurity is. And I think I also will just connect with you sometime regarding my journey as well and, have a chat with you.
Please do.
Thank you very much for making it happening today. And if there is a season 2 of this, I will reach to you again when there is, the metaverse and all that, and let's see how the cybersecurity and all those comes. Thank you again. Have a great day. That's another episode from.
And keep doing what you're doing. Really enjoy. Keep doing. Keep inspiring. And to the youth, I say also, finally, keep believing. Thank you.
That's another episode from Tech Talk 360, unveiling one bite at a time.